Alright, hello? We have a voice in here now. So... This was sprung onto me as a surprise, but, I mean, hey, this is actually pretty exciting. We got... With Darksol and Carbasi, it's a pretty interesting match, because... I know Carbasi, I think they're pretty good in Dreamland, but I've not seen them play this game at all. And Darksol is a very good runner of this game, so... it's two people. I think something about the game that I've liked watching in this tournament so far is even if a runner hasn't been necessarily the best runner, it's still been someone that's, like, known and somebody that everyone's excited to see. So, of course, it's an exciting race. Even with Darksol getting a clean 2-3 arena, being 2 levels ahead of Carbasi currently, finishing up 2-3 as Carbasi's at the end of 2-1. So, I haven't... Again, I was just kind of known, I just kind of learned about this, so I am not sure how the beginning of the race has gone for the two, if Carbasi is at a different skill level, or has just had a much rougher beginning, but doesn't have an ability right now, is something I noticed. You usually have Burning, where, I see it now, so lost that somewhere, I didn't see. But Darksol seems to be doing very well, keeping abilities, using them correctly. So Carbasi's just gonna go for fire strats on Grand Wheelie, which, not an awful idea. A lot of abilities in this game actually do pretty good damage against mini-bosses. Probably would have been a little bit better to choose Spark there. As you see, Darksol with Spark is a very damaging ability, especially on earlier mini-bosses, but Fire still wasn't bad. Okay, so Carbasi had an unlucky death somewhere. Yeah, that can happen sometimes in this game. You can take a death where you just don't want one. Carbasi getting rid of Wheel. You don't use Wheel too much once you exit 2-2, so it's not the biggest setback, but... You know, you always just want to use it as much as possible. And you get it again later in the world. You see Darksol with it right now. Getting it back into 5 with another set of wheelies. Or not another set of wheelies, because I guess it's not a mini-boss this time. You get Wheel again, and that's the important part. Yeah, so Carbasi's gonna move through 2-3. There's a decent number of levels like this where there's like a part with like a cave with some water in it, and it's very tight to navigate. Like, now that I think about it, that exists in quite a few levels in the game, and this is the first major example of it. Not really the first time that you have to move in, like, this small of an area. There's some screens in 1.4 and 2.2 that do stuff like that, but... I don't know, I just kind of noticed that theme, now that I think about it. Darksol, let's see how this boss goes. The bosses in this game are not very nice. Paint Roller is no exception. Move down. Looks like in the good hitbox. High jump, you have to worry about your hitbox a lot, because if you're further into the hitbox, you can deal more damage. So, you want to do full damage as much as possible, and Darksol had a really good Paint Roller in terms of dealing good damage. Carbasi exiting 2-3. Had a few rough things in the arena, but still got a decent number of kills on the enemies, so could have gone worse. Darksol struggling a little bit with getting out of TikTok, was good for most of the fight. Gonna grab the pet brew here. Carbasi definitely wants this tomato. Not a bad call. And is gonna skip out on Spark. You usually see Spark here for the upcoming mini-boss. Okay, Carbasi just really likes fire. Likes playing with fire, I suppose. Now Darksol moving into 3-2. 3-2 has something pretty infamous coming up later in the stage, and we'll see how Darksol chooses to deal with it, because there are a few strats that can be used. Alright, choosing to toss high jump, and probably gonna pick up this sword right here. Yep. So there's a mini-boss coming up, you can choose to fight it with high jump or sword. Sword is the safer strat. High jump is a little bit faster because you get to keep high jump for a little bit longer. But not too many people do it, because Bugsy is just a very annoying mini-boss. Bugsy can grab you very easily. I might add the hitbox is very big in a bad way. And can do several different throws, some of which take forever for the animation to end. Fortunately, Dark Soul, the time that they did get grabbed was rather short. Just a very quick throw and move on. Carbasi picking up wheel here. Really funny wheel grab, but I mean, it worked out for the guy. Dark Soul. So yeah, like even if you get sword, you get high jump back right here. So it's not the biggest deal if you want to take sword. And again, a lot of people do want to take sword. Carbasi taking a death, gonna be losing wheel in this room, which you usually want to use it for. Very unfortunate. Don't think there's an extra wheelie in this room, but the next room you get rid of wheel, so... Although it's unfortunate for this room, it's not going to matter too much when you get high jump. Struggling a little bit to get the ability. There we go. And losing it, getting it back. There, okay. Got lucky with the star bounce pattern. Okay, so Dark Soul's gonna move into the second Meta Knight arena. There are a few things you can do here. Dark Soul, I think, wanted to go for pure high jump, which is where you do the whole arena with high jump. Unfortunately, is losing it a bit. Not doing too good, but just has one enemy left. Gonna go around like this to kill that enemy. Very well done. Now just has to live. There's a max tomato right about here. So... Carbasi losing high jump a little bit here. It looks like Carbasi's hit O and losing the ability entirely to start dying. It looks like Carbasi's like hitbox placement wasn't the worst thing, but the problem stems with you have to be able to cancel your high jump, which Carbasi was not doing to the greatest ability. Still getting down the boss though. Dark Soul successfully carrying the candy to kill the bonkers in 3-5. That's level isn't too hard to get down, but if you make a mistake, you can lose the candy, and then you just lose a bunch of time. Carbasi taking a sword into 3-1. Not a bad play. The mini-boss coming up, definitely. Using sword on mini-bosses is always pretty alright. So... good choices made. And that's something that's good to know. If you're struggling with strats, it's good to know backups. Unfortunately, not getting backup lives, Carbasi game overing in 3-1. 3-1's a short level, so it's not the worst thing, but he was already past TikTok, so I really don't think he wanted to see it. Meanwhile, Dark Soul... getting through this dark room. These dark rooms don't really, like, hinder your sight that much. There are a few blocks that are invisible, but it doesn't do anything, so you really just learn them like any other room. And now we have an ability-less TikTok, which is not fun, trust me. Meanwhile, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright, Dark Soul appears to be part of Sun Gang here. You can, in this fight, it's a 50-50 whether you want to, or whether the sun or the moon will attack first. Some people like to guess who will attack first, others like to stay neutral. And for those who don't stay neutral, there's the Sun Gang and the Moon Crew. Look like Dark Soul's Sun Gang gamble paid off, and they're gonna have a very good Shine and Bright to move into 4-1. Carbasi grabbing Burning here is not a bad choice. Burning is always just a decently fast ability with a good amount of invulnerability to it when you're in the middle of it. Finally getting to 3-1 though. Has Burning going into 3-2, which is definitely not something I think I've seen. But it's really bad to not have high jump here just because of how fast high jump is. Okay, so now Carbasi's low on health. Oh! That was scary. Alright, let's see. This room, a lot of the enemies stay on the platform for a little bit and move somewhat consistently, so just has to be careful and know what enemies are where. And okay, grab sword now. Let's see how this goes. Darksol fighting this double Poppy Bro, which is awful. This mini-boss here, because they like to move around, and they usually end up moving around because you can only spark one of them at a time unless you have a really specific pattern that usually doesn't come up until it's like too late. Carbasi grabbing Wheel, which is not something you usually see because of the Bugsy mini-boss coming up. I mean, fighting a mini-boss with Wheel is a thing that some people will do. It's just not what I expected in this situation. Because the Wheel mini-boss fight is really only in one place. Darksol going under. I actually don't think I've seen too much of that. I usually see a bunch of people go over that level. Grabbing high jump here. High jump is a neat strat because you can use it at the end of this level. Saves a little bit of time over the usual strat. You keep Spark from 4-2 and use it in that wind tunnel in 4-3. Again, high jump is just a slightly faster alternative to said Spark strat. Overall, it doesn't matter too much once you get into 4-4, because you're either going to do a mix or just not care about your ability. I don't know if Darksol does the mix. Not doing it here, at least. It's either just not a thing Darksol does, or she just doesn't want to do it in a race. Which is understandable. You get Wheel here anyways. So the mix isn't like the biggest time save in the world. It's of course a time save because it's a Wheel mix. Alright, now I'm gonna take Spark again. We want Spark back. The thing about the level is if you mess up your Wheel movement, that screen can become hell. And it unfortunately happened to Darksol there. But now getting Throw, which is gonna be good for something in the next level. Throw is kind of similar to spitting things out. However, every throw you do has the power of a double star on it. So, it's very good to be able to have a lot of power from just about every projectile you get. And as you can see, that property is only getting more useful in a Meta Knight arena. Pretty good from Darksol. Definitely didn't do the perfect strats, but did do their own strat pretty well. It went quickly, which is what's really the important part to doing the perfect strats of the arena. Speaking of arenas, we have another one. We have Carbasi, still really likes burning, apparently. Going into 3-4 arena. Looks shady. But staying alive somehow. Oh, dies to a blade left over from the already dead enemy. Game overing. Very unfortunate. However, what I think Carbasi should do is the arena, or not the arena, the museum is open there. Usually for 3-5, you really want high jump, so usually if you lose it in 3-4, you'll use the museum to get it back. But the museum is open after 3-3, so Carbasi could have gone and grabbed it. There is a powerless strat to this arena, though. So Carbasi isn't exactly wrong for not wanting to do high jump, or just not doing it in general. But, I don't know, it's the more expected one, I suppose. And gets through the arena pretty well here, just needs to actually kill that last enemy and go through the door. Darksol gonna come up on Krako, the boss of Great Garden. The thing about Krako is that the hitboxes in this game are fan-terrible. So, Darksol's gonna have to do a lot of really weird hits on Krako to avoid actually taking damage, but it did really well. A really clean fight. And Carbasi not grabbing high jump into 3-5. Darksol moving into Yogurt Yard. Gonna get rid of high jump and grab stone here. This is usually the only use of stone, and it's just that screen. Gonna toss it right there. So I hope you like stone. And Carbasi just waiting for a finish on Bonkers. Accidentally jumping over the coconut there, so has to take a little bit longer. Bonkers is usually one of the quicker powerless bosses to fight. Take the hammer. Interesting. But Bonkers is usually one of the quicker powerless bosses to fight because not only does he have attacks that can give you stars on the ground to spit at him, but he also throws coconuts as an attack. So he has a lot of attacks that let you damage him. And appears a lot in earlier games, in areas where he has weaker HP. Bonkers is actually in 5-2, where Darksol is right now. You can see Darksol has Ball. Ball is going to tear through mini-bosses. If it doesn't get lost, it got lost. That is not good. Not gonna go back for it, but I think what Darksol's doing right now, yeah. Gonna reload the room to respawn this Sparky, and use Spark, which is a great idea. I mentioned earlier how Spark is a really powerful mini-boss ability, and this is... I've never had to see anyone use this backup, but it was definitely a good backup on Darksol's end, so good on Darksol. Carbasi getting close to the end of 3-6. Kind of in the second half of the level. Getting pranked by Invisible Wall. It seems like Carbasi is a little bit afraid to fly, which is understandable because it's usually not the greatest thing, but it's not too slow if you need to do it every now and then. Grabbing high jump, remembering high jumps in the room, which is good. Carbasi really wants it. Wants to grab the health. Hopefully knows where the max tomato is on this part of the level. Guys! Dead. Darksol with really good wheel movement in this level. Oh, and losing wheel right at the end. You don't use wheel in 5-4, so losing wheel at the end of the stage actually isn't the worst thing, but, you know, kinda sucks that hit the spikes. Yeah, there's a burning right here immediately, and you want to use it for, like, the aerial maneuver. Carbasi fighting and Mr. Bright. Kind of the same thing with Paint Roller, I noticed. Carbasi. Not doing bad on hitboxes, but not canceling the high jump, so not doing the best with the ability. Still manages to get rid of the sun before the moon comes down. So that's decent. Really good arena from Darksol there. That one is a pretty difficult one to do correctly, and it went really well. And the ball enemy being a big Alright, let's see. Are we seeing swag? We are not seeing ball swag. There's a strat here that saves about a second called ball swag. You can choose to just bounce over that part of the level instead of puffing like you saw Dark Soul do. It's kind of scary, honestly, if you don't, like, know it 100%, so I can understand the choice not to go for it. This level was still pretty solid, so I can't, you know, drag too much. Losing ball wants it back, though. And what ball usages Dark Soul goes for in this stage goes for this one, okay? But there are a pretty actually unique variety of ball strats. Carbasi struggling with breaking blocks a little bit here, which is understandable. I guess a fun little anecdote for you guys. For a very long time, I would not play Minecraft in survival mode because I did not know how to break blocks because I kept trying to spam click. Dark Soul... what even happened to Dark Soul? There's a burning at the end of the screen, unfortunately. You usually want to use burning on that last screen. Which Fire Lion, that mini-boss there, gives you burning. I don't know why I picked up burning here. Okay, I guess to get through this screen easier. Although, still wants to grab wheel. There's a lot of wheels. Did a mix, got freeze. There's too many wheels in this room. It's too many. Needs to be less wheelies. But you get wheel in this screen because it gives you wheel. No, and Carbasi taking a death in 4-2. Dark Soul dumping wheel at the end of this level, which might seem a little bit confusing until you realize that the next level is going to be a boss level. So what Dark Soul's gonna do is a frame 1 mix. Swallow 2 enemies to get a mix going, and if you hold A, you'll, as you do the swallow, you'll automatically get the first ability on the wheel. And when you swallow 2 wheelies like that, the first ability is always going to be Hammer, which is, as you can see, very good for heavy moles. So moving into Orange Ocean, Carbasi doesn't have any ability here in the Poppy Bro section, so can't do the strat that you usually see. Almost had a double star opportunity with these 2 bombs, but the bomb inhale boxes are not fantastic. Dark Soul getting hit and losing Hammer, but you usually dump it for burning in this room anyways. Dark Souls has a lot of moments where they've kind of messed something up and gotten hit and lost their ability right before they need a new ability. To the point where it almost would seem like it's intentional, but then you just realize how long the damage animation is in this game, and it's just like... you can lose a lot of time really easily. Carbasi taking Crash to deal with the other Poppy Bro. Not a bad strategy, especially because it did have a lot of HP, and Carbasi has a lot less HP. But moving on to 4-3, Dark Soul into 6-2. This is usually where a World 6 can be determined, because there's 2 different strats you can go for in World 6, and you'll know what they're going on for based on what a person's 6-2 goes like. The main thing is Tornado. Dark Soul is taking Tornado. So this is a slightly slower but fairly easier strat, taking Tornado over the other ability that you can choose, which is to do a wheel mix in 6-3. Carbasi accidentally going to the switch room instead of the normal door. Could have hit the switch for an HP restore. There was a race I commentated of Marsh versus Nacho Brado, where Marsh would commonly
go for switches. I think 2 situations where Marsh went for switches to get HP restores. But yeah, fighting Bonkers with Tornado here. Usually once you get Tornado in 6-2, you want to keep it to 6-6. So, hopefully Darksol won't lose it. Using Tornado in that room is unusual, but worked out. Alright. And Carbasi's making good level progress. Got through... 4-3 is a fairly short one, actually, but it's always still good just to get through it. Has Sword. An interesting pickup, but... Carbasi really likes using Sword and Fire, is what I've noticed. Which, if you don't know strats too well, Sword is a good one to have, because it's actually somewhat damaging to mini-bosses and has a pretty decent range. And if you use the aerial attack, you can use Sword without slowing down, really. So it's a good ability to have if you're just trying to, like, play through, but in terms of strats, there's not too many that actually utilize it. This cave-like room is one of the hardest in terms of tornado keeping, so let's see if Darksol can get through. I think at this point Darksol's good, unless they make like a really big dump. Very good. Don't think meant to use tornado there. This Nut Shack is an entirely vertical room, so Tornado actually wouldn't be as good as it seems. Poor Carbasi accidentally going into this fight with Veal instead of grabbing a different ability and getting punished. At least managed to take out Fan, I think is the important thing. You know, just has to get through the last screen of the level without dying. With... Oh, he does like to cause trouble. Alright, Carbasi's good. Should take a soft reset here. Something that hasn't happened yet, I don't think, is that you can soft reset at the end of a level, and you reload with all of your, health back and 2 lives, but no ability. It's a good backup thing to do if you need to, and Carbasi did do it with a hard reset, it looks like. Is Carbasi using an emulator? I'm not sure. Emulators are allowed. I'm just wondering for the sake of why was it a hard reset instead of like a soft reset. So in this double Frosty room, you're hoping at least one of them spits an ice cube immediately, and you use your ability star to do a double star and kill both the Frosties. And then you get to the last Meta Knight arena in the game, at the end of 6-6 here. This one is on ice, so it really likes to drop your inputs, which is a game that this problem has with just about everything, but in this area specifically, it's horrible. Despite the problem on the ices, though, that was a pretty good arena. And Carbasi also doing a pretty decent one over in 4-5. So getting into Meta Knight here. With Meta Knight, the game gives you a sword, and he just likes to stand there and block your attacks. Almost dying, but getting through the level. Carbasi also close to death, and almost done with the level. Gonna grab this pet brew up here, and then just finish the level from above. Oh, I think Carbasi wants that one up. Okay, no, there we go. So Darksol moving into the last world of the game.
coming up after this room is something pretty important. There's gonna be another one-frame mix from Dark Soul. Wouldn't be surprised if Dark Soul tried to take an intentional death here to restore health before moving on to this mix. It's another one frame, so you can just hold the button and get ball, but you do really want ball. Carbasi struggling with TikTok, doing yet another ability-less boss. Mini-boss. But yeah, into 7-2. It's a gauntlet of 4 different mini-bosses. And ball is the best thing to use. This level can be very dangerous because some of these bosses have a lot of luck involved with them. So, you have to be really careful. With a ball, you're going to be vulnerable when you're on the ground and when you're at the peak of your jump. So, you really have to be careful, especially with Bugsy. Even when you're in a ball, Bugsy is going to grab you if you're in a bad position, so... Yeah, Dark Soul struggling a little bit here, gets Bugsy down, taking a few hits, has 3 HP for the last of the 4 bosses here, which is going to be Fire Lion, which is exactly who you want to see at the end of a boss rush like this, actually, because Fire Lion gives you Burning, which is a fast-moving ability. Carbasi heading into 4-6, or finishing out of 4-6 and into Krakow. So doing the climb up to the boss fight. Dark Soul out of 7-2. Almost just needs to grab this tomato and enter the door. Oh, Carbasi taking a death to fall after getting hit by a high jumper. Yeah, so Carbasi moving into 7-3. Losing Burning and having to go a little bit back down, but does get through the screen still with Burning, which is really good to have. You want to keep Burning for a little while longer. It's going to be very good in the next room where you still have this invincibility candy. It's a very horizontal room. Carbasi finally with some really good high jump cancels here, making this climb a little bit safer and easier. Yeah, making it to the boss fight arena with full HP still. We'll see how it goes. Dealing decent damage with these high jumps, despite not canceling. This isn't looking the worst in the world for Carbasi. Yeah, that was actually not bad. Dark Soul wants to grab Spark here, for 7-4. It's useful in the next couple of screens, and there is a strat in 7-5 that uses Spark, so, might go for that as well. Carbasi into Yogurt Yard, World 5. Not taking the stone here, just choosing to fall down entirely. But getting down into the door. Dark Soul still has Spark. And Carbasi getting frozen. Twice. Very unfortunate. Yeah, so let's see here. There is a Grand Wheelie here that you want to not move around, and then you want to take Wheel. Wheel's going to be very important, but in order to keep it, you have to get through the wind tunnel with Wheel still intact, which the game does not like you to do. Fortunately, Dark Soul got through, still has some HP. Not going to take the pet brew up there. Pretty interesting. But gonna exit the level here. still with wheels, so can go through 7-6 rather quickly. Yeah, so you can see with how flat a lot of this level design is, it's very good to have wheel in 7-6. Carbasi has sword in 5-2 right now, which is a safer strat that you can do in comparison to the ball strat that Dark Soul did. Not like it's harder to get ball. The thing about ball that you have to keep in mind is that it's much harder to control. Dark Soul taking a death in the Kabu room. Very unfortunate. Yeah, ball can be a pretty hard one to control, though, if you're not used to it, so... really, ball is one of those abilities you get better at using, not just by practicing the speedrun, but just by playing the game while using ball. This game is on the Game Boy Advance. Dark Soul getting a mix for ball before finishing 7-6. That is not a one-frame mix like the previous two have been, but actually a second ability, which I think each ability is on the wheel for 4 frames. So, just had to delay a little bit. And now getting into DDD, we want to see an immediate suction. Not getting one. The thing about suctions is you see DDD gets stunned a lot when he gets hit, but when he does a suction, he doesn't, so you can just kind of start railing on him. And now getting into the final boss against Nightmare. There are 2 parts to Nightmare, the first one being the Nightmare Orb. This is a kind of side-scrolling shooter boss. You know, screen moves on its own, you just have to choose to either get up close and play dangerous, or go away and play safe. You really want to play up close and personal in this fight, because there is a certain attack that you're hoping to be able to skip having to see by dealing damage fast enough, and that is this orb damaging, or dashing to the front of the screen. You can't turn. Like, you can move directionally, of course, but you can't like, change what direction you fire. You're always firing to the right, which is why seeing the dash is so bad, because you, like, can't hit the orb without damaging it yourself just to be able to do so. Carbasi did take a death here in this screen in 5-3, but it wasn't the worst thing in the world, because usually people, if they don't have wheel, which Carbasi didn't, they don't use an ability anyways. Parasol is really not designed for that room, despite the game giving it to you. But Dark Soul is moving into the second half of Nightmare, which is the Wizard. The Wizard is completely scripted, does the same thing every time, so... if you don't miss any hits, the fight will usually take the same amount of time. There is a little bit of luck in where, like, the Wizard will teleport. Kind of, like, spawn in, so you have to be careful of that. For the most part, you don't have to worry about anything in this fight other than just getting the hits that you know how to do. And that is time for Dark Soul with a 44-19 on SRL 44-20. Really well done. That is a good time. Meanwhile, Carbasi is still all the way back in 5-4. So Carbasi's got quite a bit of a journey, but still doing alright. Oh, dying to the last enemy in the 5-4 arena. Has those 2 enemies on the top right next to each other. Could have used a double star on the last enemy on the top, but still managed to get through the arena better that time. Not grabbing ball here.
You saw Dark Soul grab ball here. You usually see it for the rock climb on the screen after this. You might have remembered Dark Soul going into a corner and just storing up ball bounces to skip a whole screen. Looks like Carbasi not gonna do that, gonna go for the normal entrance into the next screen, which makes you see this screen, which you usually don't see in a run. But finally gonna be sent onto the waterfall to finish off the level. Since you don't have ball, you're also trying to avoid the stuff in this level, in this screen, instead of just being able to plow right through it. Is Dark Soul gonna come for an interview? Let's find out once I stop accidentally closing Chrome, I suppose. Okay, I have the stream back up now. Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can get Dark Soul in here, if they want to come in. Carbasi choosing sword over fire to fight Fireline in here, which is usually the standard if you don't take ball, is fire. Sword is a little bit better damage-wise, but is harder to get unless you stall, which Carbasi did manage to inhale the sword guy without accidentally causing a mix. So I guess it worked out going into the last room here. Close to death and on last life, so really does not want to get hit here. Alright, Carbasi is good to enter 5-6. Gonna reset to get health back and lives. Why did SRL just log me? Good sight, everybody. Carbasi, unfortunately, taking a death there. And we have Dark Soul. Hello.
Yes, hi.
Congratulations.
Fire Lion.
Fire Lion.
It likes to go on ledges, just like Bugsy.
I have never seen that before, let me tell you.
I have actually seen it happen with Bugsy as well.
I have not seen it happen with anybody. It was funny. And unfortunate, but really funny.
I was mostly laughing. I just saw it as like, oh, you're just gonna chill there. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I leave your humility? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sniper, yes, that actually happened in a run in 3-2. I think when I was grinding out Powerless, World Record, it ended up landing on the ladder, and I just stood there like, what do I do?
That sounds funny. Well, it looked like it was still a pretty good run, otherwise.
It could have been better, but it could have been worse.
Yeah, there were a few small things. You had a lot of moments where you lost, like, a power-up, like, the screen before you're usually supposed to throw it out. So you didn't have it with you for, like, a screen. And that added up a little bit, but for the most part, got through a lot of with doing pretty well, so...
Yeah, improv. Somehow I'm good with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that, like, the running speed in this game isn't too bad. Otherwise, you know, it could be a nightmare. With some games, it can be, basically run over if you lose an ability anywhere, but this game, fortunately, isn't quite that in most cases.
Yeah,
unless you're grinding through, like, a time.
Let's say, Turn to Dreamland 80%, where if you lose me that.
Yeah, especially that game is brutal. Yeah, it was still a pretty good run, I'd say.
And
yeah, I'm glad to. Going through a lot of powerless bosses Carbasi's been doing. It's currently trying to do powerless heavy mole.
I'm way too familiar with powerless heavy mole. It's not fun. It really isn't.
Yeah, really not.
Anyone ever wanted to try that run? This is what will probably end it.
Yeah. Does not look fun. But just one hit away at this point. And, oh, misses the hit. That is sad.
I've done that.
And then misses the next projectile. Oh, no. Still has decent health, Carbasi, though.
Heavy mole, everybody.
Yay. Okay. There we go. Carbasi finishing the fight. We're gonna move on to Orange Ocean. Yeah, I don't have too many I don't really have anything else that I can think of to say to you, Dark Soul, other than just GG's on the race.
I'm not really sure there's much else to say, and that's an interesting decision to fight Fan.
Really just wanted to lose another bit of HP, I guess.
I think you wanted to say hi to Fan.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's a big friendly elephant. What could go wrong?
Yeah. How many races have you done? Is this your first or second?
This is my 5th.
Oh, okay, so this was your last
This is
one.
actually my last one. At least until bracket, if I make bracket, we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the races go.
Yeah, okay, well I can go look at the bracket and we can see how you did. You are in group something. You're in group B.
Yep.
So, let's see. 1, 2...
With this, it should be 3 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah, that's not bad. I think that is a pretty high chance of getting into the bracket.
Also, please tell me he did not.
Unfortunately, decides to forfeit after game overing in 6-1. Kinda sucks to see, but I can understand why.
Yeah, so did I, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Trust me, this game is a learning experience.
It's a painful experience.
Yes. If the game's not eating your inputs, it's making sure you have plenty of up inputs, and if it's not doing either of those, then well, it's just
I guess it's a fun little anecdote for you guys. Yeah, for a very long time, I would not play Minecraft in survival mode because I did not know how to break blocks. And I don't think Carbasi is gonna come in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't completely understand.
That's a definitely understandable thing to do. But big shout-outs for sticking all the way to 6-1. That definitely was kind of a rough run, so it was good to see.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad
Trying
you stuck
for
it
so
out
long.
once you did.
Yeah. So make sure to follow not only Carbasi, but of course Dark Soul as well. Is that Twitch name correct?
No, it is. I don't think it is.
It is not. Cool.
No,
I'll post the right Twitch link. Your Twitch link is correct, I think.
Yeah, that's weird because I don't know why I did that.
That's
Yeah,
the
there we
Twitch
go.
link
Perfect.
that you should go to.
And I'll just throw that one in there as well.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, if that is going to be the end of that, then I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, I don't.
When I posted the bracket a little bit ago, I also posted the schedule. There's going to be another race in 2 hours on SpeedGaming 3. There's going to be Kennen and Mayazumi being commentated by Rox, which means there's going to be a lot of energy, for sure.
And there's probably going to be a reference to drive it down to a better building, depending on whether or not one of them actually does.
Yeah, if anybody, yeah, we'll see what happens. That's a really exciting race, actually, because I know
that one should be really interesting when it happens.
Yeah. Although if you want to watch something other than Nightmare in Dreamland tonight, there's a few other games on SpeedGaming. Not too popular a day. It is Tuesday. A lot of people have finals right now, actually. But there's still,
a little on the slow side right now.
We have Ocarina of Time randomizer. We have randomizers a lot. We have Ocarina of Time randomizer, A Link to the Past daily later, along with the Zelda 2 randomizer weekly. So a lot of different Zelda games.
Maybe eventually we can work in Amazing Mirror randomizer, since that's now a thing.
Yeah, that is now a thing, and that's exciting. And then again, with randomizers being completely different from another, there's Final Fantasy 1 randomizer. And if you don't want a randomizer, there to be later today's Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which is cool. I have a friend that runs... Somebody in this tournament, in the Nightmare in Dreamland tournament, is actually in the Star Wars tournament. So... pretty exciting.
Way, plenty of content coming up.
Yeah. Still a decent amount of races for the rest of the night on the SpeedGaming network, even though, again, a lot of people are busy. So hopefully there's something to keep you entertained. If not, again, it's Twitch. We're not the only streamers on Twitch. Go give support to whoever you want tonight. I've been Lori. I've enjoyed commentating. You have any last thing you want to say, Dark Soul?
Fire Lion never happened before.
Fire Lion never happened. Somebody clipped it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, that's good. Oh, great. They snuck in my story that I told while you were fighting Fire Lion. It was a good clip, just in general. But yeah, with that being said, thank you, everybody, for coming out, and we'll see you again next race, 6 p.m., just barely under 2 hours, SpeedGaming 3. See you there.
Yep.